Okay, so next I'm going to go on to what is strategy, and this sounds like a stupid question, but I don't think people always understand it. Okay. So it'll be interesting to see if Mets are still on the call, because we covered this on Tuesday in the classroom session. And the one big thing about business is that everything you ever see is about how do you grow your business, how do you increase sales, and how do you do more. So what you kind of do is that they do that. And everyone wants to dream, everyone wants to make more money, everyone wants to do stuff. But actually, if you go to almost anywhere, they tell you about, oh yeah, we'll educate you on marketing, we'll teach you how to sell more, we'll teach you how to prospect customers and do all that good stuff, which is important, don't get me wrong, and that does help you do this. But the one thing that most people get wrong is that with strategy, you actually want to work backwards and figure out actually, is what you do and what your company does and offers, is it the correct thing for your audience? But then actually, excuse me, the more you understand your customer, their pain points, and what they're dealing with, if you can offer something which is a lot more valuable, it'll be a hell of a lot more successful than if you just try and push and do more of the same. Does that make sense? And basically what you then want to look at you want to look at the pain points of the customer, and this is a marketing term where you're looking at how, if with the roadmap you have business education that is seen as inaccessible for all different reasons, it's one of the things that we look to do, and actually just trying to make it simple and have the interactivity in ways that books and stuff have ever done. That's a pain point of a customer, that for time poor consumers that don't have time to do, I don't know, a whole business course or do a proper MBA or whichever because they're busy working or their parents, you can pick it up for 2 minutes or 2 hours, jump in and jump out, and actually just help you add in the extra pieces to help you make that kind of next step, which is something that we'll talk about in the next kind of Scrabble section. But you will need to understand the pain points of the customer. And one of the classic things is, the more you understand about this, it's how do you win in the customer's world. So actually you want to put yourself in the customer's shoes. What can you add that is valuable to them that actually doesn't necessarily cost you anything, but it'll make a real difference in helping you differentiate and stand out in the market. So in the business course, we go into this in quite in-depth detail, and actually for my NEPIC event on Thursday, I'm going to go into a lot more detail about how we can do this. One way is just comparing yourself to comparing yourself to competitors, and looking at what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses. And one of the prime examples is if you sell food and you have a small corner shop, it's very difficult in theory to compete against a Waitrose or an Asda or a Tesco on price. You can't compete on price. You can't compete on selection. You can't really compete on opening hours because you can't work 24 hours a day. But the one thing you could do is compete on customer service. You could make sure that you know everyone's name that comes into the shop. You can make them feel welcomed. You could thank them for coming in. And actually your strategy could involve better customer service that actually, for people that don't have too tight a pressure on their expenditure to do with their food shopping, your business will be a lot more successful if you focus on customer service. But this is almost looking at the pain points of the customer, understanding what they are, and how can you basically, what can you do to help solve them, and then basically add more value. And one of the prime examples I always talk about on this sorry, Julie, is that in a former life, I was managing director of a manufacturing business based in Durham. And there are tons of machine shops, there are thousands of them. And it's a very competitive marketplace for when you make stuff, how do you stand out? And one of the things that we realized when we looked at the pain points of the customer, but actually what decisions could we make which would make us different? So here, when you've got what decisions can you make to give you a competitive advantage, this is really, really important, because often they don't cost you anything, but this is how you build the strategy so that then when you do accelerate it, you can absolutely obliterate the competition. one of my current businesses is they're doing very, very well. They've arguably doubled in size and things are going really, really well this year. But actually we still have capacity in terms of the potential to run a second or third shift in terms of production. So what that could do, the main pain point for the customer is to do lead times. They want stuff quickly, but actually there are things that we can do relatively cheaply to decrease the lead time to make us more attractive. And because one of the main buying drivers is lead time, we'll sell more. So actually we'll be able to grow the company quicker because of the decisions that we've been able to make. But the way to do that is to take a holistic view at everything that you have, your network, your background. You could be extremely articulate. You could be a great illustrator. Anything that you have as a person which is a competitive advantage over what someone else has or hasn't done, use it as a strength. So for me, one of my big ones is actually just the ability to learn stuff. I'm quite good at learning. I'm building a whole business around it, that as the world changes, it's the ability to take in information, simplify it, and then communicate it back to people is something that I want to do as a USP. Just as a prime kind of example. But basically, yeah, if you can get your strategy right, which is everything that you do, before you try and accelerate it, you'll be a lot more successful. So then once you get the strategy right about what gives you your competitive advantage, then you add in the marketing and sales. And that'll help you do much better. But one of the key things that you talk about with marketing is actually really know your key messages to what is it you're trying to push. And your key messages come from the strategy. So when you kind of find your voice, then accelerate it as well. If you don't really get the strategy bit right first, it's the equivalent of someone just shouting in the street and making a loud noise and not really knowing why. And yeah, that is hopefully a little input on strategy. But relating to this, and again, please feel free to comment if you have any questions or if I've described it badly or whichever. That's the whole point, so hopefully that's cool. But the next one. So why is strategy like Scrabble? So Scrabble is a board game, if you don't know, but it's sold in 100 countries. I think everyone knows what Scrabble is. And basically, the whole point of the game is that all of the players, and it could be 2 to 4 players, they sit around the board, and they all get given a certain number of tiles. And then what happens is that you all have your little tray. I'll do 3. So everyone gets their tray that they put their tiles in, and then they get allocated different letters. And the game is that you have to combine the letters, make a word, and then you get points. And at the start, everyone gets given different letters. So you might get A, S, T, P, E, R, Z, Q, S, T, R, A. The point is everyone actually gets different letters to start with, and that's different. The reason why I think Scrabble is very much like strategy and personal development is that actually when we all start in our career, or even wherever we're kind of at, we've all got different talents. We all have, in effect, different skill sets that we can add up and deploy in business to help us do well or help us grow our business or whatever. The whole concept of personal development is really identifying what are your skill sets, but then likewise, what do you need to help add in the next level. So when you actually, have time to work and learn a new skill. So for instance, if you are a financial accountant, you're extremely good at what you do, very well respected, and you've got a great business, but nobody knows who you are, it makes sense to add in a tile, add in the skill set, which in this case could be marketing. And then likewise, once we've kind of found your voice and we've understood the customer, and in the roadmap, we have 40-odd pages of really good content about how to do marketing well. The next thing is then to accelerate it. So then you would add in sales. But the whole point was for businesses or as a personal, individual, we all have different skill sets. And again, some people have more. So some people might be, I don't know, Z, might have, more experience and have more skill sets than others, but it's always something we can do and learn, because actually the more and the greater the skill set that you have, the more tools you have to actually get a higher score, because the whole point is it's how you use the things that you have to then actually help you either achieve a business or achieve your personal goal, or launch the charity that you want to work in, your fundraising, whichever. And it was just the analogy that actually none of us are the finished product. I sip too loudly when I do live streams, and 100 other kind of things. But it's almost where when you recognize your skill set, knowing that you can then drop in different tiles, different abilities to help you get to that next level is quite valuable. And I think the challenge is often actually identifying what are the pieces that you need to actually plug that gap. And it's often that's where something like the roadmap is quite useful, is because we teach a whole range of options. You got sales, strategy, marketing, management, but we go into great depth on a whole range of things. Is that it allows you to have a fuller picture of all the tiles, and then you can choose what to add in when to help you make that next step. As where I think one of the main kind of problems with traditional education is that everything's in a separate place. So you might read a marketing book, or a strategy book, or a mindset book, or management, whichever. And it's quite rare that you'd ever see anything all in one place, just get a feel for what you need, what's important to you, and then jump on that at the same time. And that's something that I tried to do at the course, just to kind of bring it all together. But then likewise, with all of the main kind of key topics that we talk about, they all make each other better, with a prime example of the more you understand about personal branding and what the world thinks about you and how you can change it, that will improve your ability to communicate, your ability to get meetings, your ability to close sales, and actually your ability to think outside the box and find business opportunities, than if you didn't. And it's how all of the different pieces of business and stuff actually genuinely do interlink. And my belief is that you can actually be a lot more successful through combining them and have a really good rounded skill set. The equivalent of having more tiles on your board is what I'm trying to do with this. I see what time we're on. We're 9:33. I genuinely thank everyone for your time this week. I've hopefully covered everything I said I would. Please feel free to drop me a message anytime. You can actually also send me messages 24 hours a day to questions@roadmapmba.com. And in the past, we've had how do I become managing director? How do I progress my career quickly? How do I achieve financial freedom? We've had a whole range of things. They all get clipped up and go onto YouTube. So if you go onto YouTube and search for Steve Pugh Roadmap MBA, you can actually just search for them all. If you're interested in the course, the Roadmap MBA, check out roadmapmba.com. There's a whole walkthrough. You can't see all the content, but actually there is a course walkthrough, so you can see me talk through the whole textbook and all the stuff on the website as well to get a feel for what's there. We do classroom sessions every Tuesday where you get to meet other interesting people on a similar journey and actually kind of learn with them. And likewise, when there's other people to ask questions, it's a really useful kind of forum. And yeah, the whole thing about the course is that you can kind of dip in and dip out for 2 minutes or 2 hours, work around your own life, or even at your kids' swimming lesson, you can join the live streams on the phone and stuff as well and still kind of interact. So my name is Steve Pugh. Hopefully I will see you next week, if not before. On Monday, actually, I haven't announced this yet, I'm interviewing a chap called Michael Richardson, who is a business owner that I've known for quite a few years. He runs a fabulous business called ACT Machine Tools. I'll put the advert out later today for the interview. That will be Monday at 4 p.m. And the reason, again, I do what's called a Growth Strategy podcast, but the reason I do the interviews is that it's to pick the brains of real people who run real SME businesses just like yours. And it's the way to learn from their journey, learn from their struggles, get some great advice. And again, it's all just part of this building this community. So hopefully join me for that. And anything else, please feel free to get in touch. Have a wonderful weekend. And yeah, I will see you soon. All right, cheers guys. Bye.